What's going on, all my wrestling guys and gals out there? This is the Wrestling Files with Mighty Q. So before we get started into anything, I want to start out with a big thank you to you guys because honestly, without you guys and the support, I can't really do anything that I'm doing. And I also kind of want to get into a reason why I'm doing this as well before we kind of get going into anything. So again, thank you so much because again, without you guys, there's really no point in me doing any of this, and that is a big reason. So thank you. I appreciate it greatly. I hope that I'm able to help you guys as much as possible because that's really the only reason why I'm doing this. I want to be able to help you guys do things and achieve things in wrestling and do whatever your heart desires with the sport. And I hope that I can be an extra tool that you guys can use from your bag that you have, and you guys can lean on me to use to get better. So that's kind of how that goes. I came from the teachings of Andre Metzger and Rick Delegata. So if you guys want to look up those two guys, those were my coaches growing up, and that's where I'm getting all of my teaching from. So it's kind of like a Nick Saban thing where, I mean, we look at Nick Saban. Nick Saban's a tremendous head coach, and you look at his lineage of coaches. Well, his lineage of coaches that coached underneath him all end up being phenomenal college coaches. I mean, we can look at last year's winner in Georgia. I mean, Kirby Smart was a descendant of Nick Saban, and you'd say that he's pretty good. And so I'm a descendant of Andre Metzger and Rick Delegata, combining their two teachers into one, and that's what I'm going to be delivering to most of you guys. It's a lot of teachings from them. They've got accolades that span pages. I had very minimal accolades compared to what they have. I actually never really fully focused enough into wrestling. I play multiple sports. I still play multiple sports. And I'm currently training for MMA. So that's my like everyday thing now. So work with me, stick with me, understand that, I mean, I'm doing this by myself right now. I mean, I got a phone, a camera, a whiteboard. I mean, I'm doing this out of my apartment in Fargo. And then there's going to be videos that are going to be coming from me teaching in the MMA gym where I'll be doing like individual coaching and teaching and stuff. And I'm just going to be making videos. So, I mean, it's literally, again, me and a tripod and a mic. And then, like I said, I'll end up doing stuff in the gym, and we'll be on the mats and showing moves and stuff. But there's also going to be a lot of like psychological teaching because wrestling is a massive mental game, and everyone teaches the physical side, everyone teaches the endurance side, but not enough people teach also the mental side that comes in with that. So I want to be able to give you guys that mental side as well, so that way you guys can have just the full encompassed circle and have as many utensils as you can to be as good as you can, and keep going from there. So the biggest thing, this content is free. That's the way that we want to keep it. I am super appreciative of all the stuff that you guys help me with, but essentially this content is free, and I'm doing it as free because I want as many wrestlers out there to get better. I think the easiest way to grow the sport is to grow the actual reach of it. And so the easiest way for the reach is allowing you guys to, this is before we get really started anything. I want you sitting there right now. If you're watching this on your phone, you're watching on a laptop, you're watching on your TV, whatever you're watching, tell 3 to 5 of your teammates. And the reason I say 3 to 5 of your teammates is because if you get and grow your team and your team all encompasses and starts working on a lot of the same stuff, it makes it better for you because wrestling is an individual sport. But if you don't have a team that's around you and you don't have good practice partners, then it definitely changes your entire wrestling. If you're not able to have guys in the room that are busting their ass just the same way that you are, the intensity is different. It affects how you wrestle actually in practice. It affects how you wrestle in matches. And when you wrestle different in matches, that's what makes you a winner versus a loser. So that's why I say tell 3 to 5 of your teammates, spread the message, spread the word, get them to subscribe, get them to come over on YouTube, get them to look on TikTok, and essentially that will help this grow, and that way we can keep this content as free as possible. I'm trying to make sure everything stays free. I give you guys as much content as possible, and the only thing that I'll like have as a plug. So like I wear my own merch because I've always been a fan of wearing my own stuff. So I'm gonna link in the description, I've got 2 different websites that have 2 different different things of apparel. One company is called Born to Win, and that Born to Win company, it right now is just existed as a clothing outlet. If you guys want to go on, at least take a look, see. I know Christmas is coming up. Hey, get your parents, get your aunts, get your uncle, grandma and grandparents, if they want to get you something. Hey, maybe get a sweatshirt or some stuff from there. You can ask them to get some stuff for you, anything like that. If you guys want to get your own, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm not really going to be like, oh, you have to go do this, because honestly, if you guys don't, I don't care. Like I said, the more important thing to me is these videos. I want you guys to make sure that you're getting better at wrestling. I don't really care so much as making money off of this, but it does help me pay my bills. So with that being said, again, I'm going to link it in the description, and you'll be able to go to both those websites and you'll be able to see. So we're going to get into it. And where we get into it and where we're going to be starting today is it's starting with you and yourself being a good practice partner. So what is a good practice partner? Well, a good practice partner is someone who is going to work with their partner and the abilities that they have right there in that moment. So I'm not saying that you need to be a scarecrow where you're honestly just standing there and you're not giving your partner really any good defense. You're not really giving them any pushback, and you're essentially just giving them the move. That's not a good practice partner. Now, if they've never wrestled before, if you've never wrestled before, that's where you start. You start with no resistance at all, allowing them to get the movement down and allowing them to understand where they're doing. Like if they've never taken a shot before, yeah, I'm not about to say, hey, work some hand placement and, don't really let them get the move as well. But that's a separate one-off occasion. If you're in the room training and you've wrestled for a year or 2 years, then you know what? It's time for you to understand that you can start to amp up a little bit of that resistance. So when you're drilling, and let's say you're drilling a double leg, don't just give a guy just an easy double leg. You want to give him a little bit of resistance, a little bit of pushback. So you want to make your partner work setups. So specifically when you're drilling, if you're working on a shot, you should be drilling at least 1, 2 to 3 setups before you take a shot anyways. And so as a practice partner, react to their setups like you normally would in a match, but don't be super resistive to where it's like you're going live. But if a guy grabs your wrist, well, okay, we'll try to get your wrist back, pull. Sometimes you take a step, sometimes you're going to reach and grab his hand to try to get it off. Don't essentially, if someone just grabs your wrist, don't just be like, okay. And then, if he goes to move your wrist, you're just going to be like, okay. Make it a little bit more realistic. And again, I'm not saying you should be going live. I'm not saying you should not let him do the move. That's not what I'm saying at all. But be reactive to what he's doing and make it to where if they're, doing an arm drag, if they're coming across on that arm drag, well, your arm's going to be pulled across, and don't just stop and then just only let your arm go. Most guys are going to make a step and they're going to try to make that motion. Let it happen. But that's where it's stay in a good stance. Make sure to move your feet and don't just get caught flat-footed, because we know that's not how a wrestling match works. And then when they're doing setups, allow them to do the setup. But at the same time, if they don't do a setup and they just shoot it on a shot, that's the time where you can kind of push on their shoulders or respond in the right manner. We want to drill the correct things, and we want to drill with correct technique. And so the best way to drill with the best technique is to start by understanding being a good practice partner is giving a little bit of resistance, not very much. I'd probably say 30% resistance. So in actuality, you're really still giving them basically the move, but you're giving enough resistance that it's going to make him be able to drill it correctly. And that's kind of where it goes. And it's if you have everybody on your team kind of doing this, we all know if you don't have good practice partners, it leads to other things that you're not going to wrestle the same in a match. And that's kind of where we're going to start with practice partners. And then also talking about how to actually win, being a winner. So age old saying, it's act like you've been there before. I'm a very big proponent, with Barry Sanders. If you guys don't know who Barry Sanders is, was tremendous running back. Some people say the best ever, but it's a, hey, act like you've been there before. If you win a match, be happy, but don't be so ecstatic. It's oh my gosh, this is the only thing I've ever done. This is the perfect whatever. Act like you've been there before. When you get your hand raised, you be happy, but wrestling is a very humbling sport because you can lose a match just as easy as you can win a match. So don't be a guy that's out there talking shit. Don't be a guy that's out there running his mouth and then bragging after a match. You know what? We all are in this sport together. It's not a big enough sport for us to really be knocking anybody that's already in the sport. Give the people their respect. And being a great winner starts with respect. And from respect, it's being humble and being disciplined to be those things. And I don't want to, start this whole notion of, getting a bunch of guys who end up getting super cocky and, they start running through guys and they're being really good wrestlers, but then they're absolute assholes on the mat. That's not what we're looking for. That's not being a good winner. And you know what? That's going to fuck you in the end, because when you get out of the sport, because sports aren't forever. The reason I push sports so heavy and the reason I want people to focus so hard in on sports is because sports can take you away from this world. Life is fucking hard. Life is never really going to let up. It's every day of a grind. It's, you never really know what's going to happen. So in those moments of sports take you to a different world that's essentially kind of made up. Like when you're out there on the mat, you're out there with your opponent and you're out there wrestling, that is a different world than what you're waking up to. Hey, I have to go to school. Hey, I got to go to class. I got this geometry test. Like all of that stuff, everybody has to deal with. There are certain things in life that you just have to deal with. And then you get to be an adult and you've got bills and you've got a job and you're doing all these other things. So when you can play sports, it takes you out of that. So understand that sports needs to be that disconnect. If you want to be a great wrestler, you have to be in the moment with wrestling and you have to be right there now. Don't be thinking about what your mom thinks in the stands. Don't be thinking about what your dad thinks in the stands. Don't be thinking about what your friends say. Don't be thinking about, all the other stuff, all that other nonsense. Leave it at the door. When you walk into the practice, whether you're in the practice room, whether you're on the mat in a competition, whether you're on a national stage, whatever it is, when you step onto that wrestling mat, when you lace up those shoes, it is time to wrestle. Everything else, fuck it. It doesn't matter. Only thing that matters right here and now is wrestling. And that's something that sports have the ability to do. Because if you can understand that notion where it's like, okay, when I step into the wrestling room, I got my wrestling shoes on. The only thing that matters to me is wrestling. That transfers. So when you get older and you leave sports, because again, sports aren't forever. Your body eventually won't allow you to play sports or the sports that you want to play. Like right now, I can't just get up and go wrestling match. I mean, there are guys in the MMA gym that I could wrestle with, but it's different. It's not a competition. It's just basically us wrestling, us having fun. But in, 10 years, I'm not going to be able to just be like, oh, I'm going to go wrestle. Like that changes. When you can understand the ability to go, okay, this is the only thing that matters to me. It's the same thing that you should do with a job. When you show up for work and you clock in and you get started at whatever you're doing, understand the only thing that matters right here and now is the job. The only thing that matters when you go on a date and you're sitting there, and if you guys are going to get offended, if you guys are out there, I'm going to let you know this straight up. If you're out there and you're a guy and you're sitting across from a girl, you know what? The only thing that should matter is talking to her. You shouldn't be on your phone. You shouldn't be texting other people. You shouldn't have your phone out doing whatever. You're sitting across from another person. You should be talking with that person. It's about being in the moment. And I look to sports to be the way to learn how to do that, because if you start focusing on all the other noise and everything else that's going on, like if you're in a match and you're thinking about what your mom's doing, or you're thinking about, oh, is my sister doing this, or oh, is my friend thinking about what, and you take your mind off your opponent, you get taken down, you end up down, you're down now 2 points. And if you get taken down straight to your back, you end up losing a match because, he takes you to back and pins you. Now what? It's about being in the moment, and that is going to transfer throughout the entirety of your life. And now I'm not saying that there aren't going to be days that, like say you're in class or you're working a job or whatever it may be, and that there's exterior noise going on where you have something going on with your family, or you've got something like that's life stuff. Everyone understands. But in the moment and being there right now is what matters. And I like to use wrestling as a perfect way. Hey, you lace up your shoes. That's the only thing that matters is wrestling until you take those shoes off. And it makes it easy because you only wear your shoes in select places. So you know what? When you put them on, you're only going to have them on for so long. Lace them up, care about wrestling. Everything else can wait. Now, you can listen to music, you can do whatever, but be right there in the moment. Be right there and now. And it's going to transfer for years to come. And that's kind of where I'm going to start, and I'm going to kind of leave it. So there's going to be a lot that we're going to get into. We're going to, like I said, there's going to be teaching lessons where I'm going to be teaching you guys actual moves. There's going to be different like match breakdowns where I'll show you guys some of my own matches, where I'm going to break down and show you guys some of my mistakes and where you guys need to learn from my mistakes. Because I look at wrestling as there's a lot to learn from what we do well. But there's always so much to learn from others' mistakes, and I don't want you guys making the same mistakes. So I'm going to use myself as the guinea pig there, and so that way we'll break down some of my matches. We can break down some other people's matches if you'd like, and you guys are going to give me like the go ahead. And I'm not going to do that for everybody's match because not everybody wants that to happen. So I would need your guys' verification on that. I'm not going to go ahead and say, I'm just going to pull some random person's match up. No, I'm not going to do that. So we'll get into some actual match breakdowns. We'll continue going on with some other lessons and tips. But then, like I said, doing some actual teaching where, I'm going to be on a mat with someone else. We're going to be going over certain moves. We're going to be going into the technique of what should be done, the correct way to do it, certain counters, and then we can go from there. So this is like, I'm not trying to get like just full blown at one time. I'm not trying to make these videos super long at the same time either. I know that everyone's attention spans lately has gotten a lot shorter, so I'm not going to try to make these videos super long. I'm not going to try to make these videos like super invasive and get super in depth too much. But when we do like a move or something, I'll show you guys the ins and outs, a certain technique, what to look for when a guy counters, ways to react to the counter, ways to counter off of someone's counter. And that's kind of what we'll go from there. But again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of you. I don't know how many of you understand, but I have the ability to see basically every comment that comes across. I'm one of those guys that, when you guys are commenting on TikTok, I see the comments. That's why most of you guys, I like all your stuff because I have read it. Most of you guys I even respond to. I appreciate the time that you guys take to respond. I appreciate the time that you guys take to follow me. I appreciate the time that you guys are giving to me. And so I just want to let you guys know it is a big thank you on my part for what you guys do, because again, I want you guys to be the absolute best. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any comments, anything that you guys want to know, don't be afraid to ask, because I am more than willing to help. If you guys have a question about a certain match, if you guys have a question about a certain move, if you guys just have a random question that you're trying to figure out, if it's a separate life thing that you're going through, hey, you just need somebody to talk to, you're more than welcome to reach out. I'm very readily available. I'm a person where I would rather help you guys and get you guys down a right path. And if someone's reaching out to me for help, I'm going to do everything in my power to help them. And if I can't help you right then and now, I'm going to try to do anything to get you the resources, to get you the help that you need, or to the person that you need, so that way we can get it figured out. I'm not just going to say, nope, can't help, next. I'm going to do my due diligence. And again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys so much. And like I said, stuff will be linked down in the description. If you do want to get a chance to check out some merch, if you want to send it to your parents, you want to send it to your family, I know Christmas is coming up. If you guys want to get it for yourself, like I said, it's going to be linked down below. And I appreciate you guys so much. Tell as many people as you can. Like, comment, share, get the bell on, subscribe, share. So all that fun YouTube stuff. And like I said, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. This is episode 1 of the Wrestling Files. I hope you guys enjoy. And like there's much more to come, much more to come. So I'm ready for it. I'm super excited. And like I said, at the very beginning, I'm not a media guy. I'm doing this on my own. I don't really know fully what I'm doing entirely and to some of this. So it's not going to be super fancy videos. It's not going to be the super fancy, like where stuff's popping up on the screen. I'm not there yet. I spent most of my time with sports. I'm not a media person. It's me and a phone and a mic. So for right now, bear with me until I get better at this stuff. What really matters is the content and the message behind it. And until I get either a team or some other people to make some videos and stuff like that to help me out, like I said, just bear with me because it's going to only get better. And that's where my learning is going to happen, is on that side of things. But what truly matters is I have so much wrestling knowledge that I'm trying to give to you guys because it was passed down to me, and I'm not about to hoard onto it because there's no reason for me to keep it. So again, thank you. But for the Wrestling Files episode 1, Mighty Q, I'm out.